One of my favorite things to do on my channel is to highlight some of the random details found throughout Guild Wars 2 and to talk about my favorite ones. Many players who play Guild Wars 2, or any video game for that matter, spend a lot of time focusing on the ideas of progression, metas, and in-game content. And while I do enjoy those things to some degree, I am someone who really loves to take time to explore the world of Tyria and see all of the tiny little details that don't truly matter but are incredibly important because they make Guild Wars 2 the game that it is. So let's sit back for 10 or so minutes and appreciate this beautiful world. Throughout the world of Tyria are many ruins that mark the existence of civilizations recent and ancient. With crumbling stone facades and overgrown vegetation, any adventurer who wanders the lands surely will come across them. Some have played an incredibly important part in the Guild Wars franchise, like the remnants of Ascalon that played a central part in the original Guild Wars game and can still be explored to this day. To many newer ruins, like those located on the island of Castora, that, to give a very tiny spoiler for the Visions of Eternity expansion, belong to the enigmatic Seers. One type of ruins that are incredibly common to find are those located in Kryda. Kryda is one of the biggest human kingdoms that spans a very large part of the land around and north of the Sea of Sorrows. This location is rich with history, dating back to how it was once an Orion colony, to its independence, to its recurring conflict with the Centaurs, to the civil war against the antagonistic White Mantle, to so many other conflicts. With such a rich history, there are so many ruins, such as the Provernic Crypt, that is an ancient tomb of many Krytan nobles, while also serving as a mini dungeon for players to explore. Much further south, another iconic ruin is Fort Cadence, that is one of the southernmost ruins within Kryda that begins to blend into the ruins that would be considered as a part of the ruined kingdom of Or. Located throughout Kryda and beyond are a very interesting type of beast that are common to find in many fantasy worlds: basilisks. Drake-like creatures with one eye, these can occasionally be found by various adventurers exploring through Tyria. Not much lore is directly connected to them, and they can be infrequently found, but they are most well known for their ability to turn enemies to stone. As such, anyone who faces a basilisk in combat is suggested to avoid their gaze. Similar to the basilisk, but much more common, are the aforementioned drakes. These are amphibious reptiles who are, interestingly enough, distant relatives of the monstrous wyverns. Drakes are found all throughout the world of Tyria, and are commonly trained by rangers to aid them in combat. Found in a wide variety of biomes, drakes can be found from the frigid shiver peaks to the dry deserts and everything in between. One of the most interesting types of drakes are reef drakes that can be found in South Sun Cove and a variety of other regions, like in the Ring of Fire and Crystal Desert. Another type of beast that can be found around the world and are often tamed by rangers are bears. There are many different types of bears that, quite similarly to drakes, can be found in a wide variety of biomes, from Ascalons to the Shiver Peaks to Kryda. For some people, bears are incredibly cuddly, and certain ones can definitely become close friends, but for some other people, a deadly and aggressive bear may be the final thing you ever see. Very similar to bears are pandas. These are an incredibly interesting species of bear that are beloved by many in the real world, but within Tyria are incredibly uncommon, but are existent. Within the original Guild Wars, pandas are connected to the lands of Cantha and can be found in a couple of different examples. Within Guild Wars 2, the examples feel a little bit more limited, with a roller beetle skin that is very fun, to a warclaw skin that is magnificent, to a fuzzy panda hat skin that some players like to wear, to a mini panda, as well as a mini red panda that players can bring around with them in the world. If you are someone who likes to learn about the worlds you are exploring, Guild Wars 2 has no shortage of books. From the famous The Rise of Ebonhawk books that play a part in the Speedy Reader achievement, you can travel across the stronghold of Ebonhawk and find 20 different texts written by the famous historian Kimmies that details the founding of Ebonhawk. But throughout the world are a variety of libraries and loose books that allow you to find different resources to learn about different parts of Tyria. Maybe a more interesting journey are the different signs that can be found in Tyria. This is a much less common thing within the game, but are still an incredible detail that adds so much flavor in Guild Wars 2. From road signs that direct players to certain locations, to menus sitting outside of taverns that allow potential patrons to know what there is to eat, there are a bunch of random details that can be read in Tyria, but some of these signs require for you to be proficient in one of the languages of Tyria. Yes, Tyria has languages, and there are multiple of them. The most common of which is New Crichton, which is a standardized language used in modern-day Tyria, but there are other human-centric languages like Ascalonian, New Canthan, Orion, Old Crichton, and an Elonian dialect. Beyond humanity, there are many other languages such as the Asuran script, Char ideograms, Hylic dialects, Mersat, Norn, Trolls, and even an animal tongue that allows different animals of different species to communicate with each other. While we talked about ruins earlier, I think it is important to highlight the opposite of ruins, as in structures and locations that are still standing. As in the majority of structures in many parts of Tyria, there are a wide variety of forts located around Tyria that serve as peaceful refuges or strategic military locations. If you are someone who is looking for a peaceful place to stay, finding a fort and hiding behind its walls is definitely a smart decision, but just be careful of forts occupied by enemy forces. The most common type of fort that many newer players will be encountering are Lion Guard havens. The Lion Guard are the military and defense organization of Lion's Arch, a massive center of trade and culture located in the heart of Tyria. Stretching from Lion's Arch off to many of the surrounding regions is the expansive Lion Road that allows traders, travelers, and anyone else to utilize to, usually, safely travel from one major part of the road to another. Dotting the Lion Road are a wide variety of Lion Guard havens that serve as peaceful locations for travelers to pause at, utilize various services, and plan out their next moves. To highlight a few of my favorites, Marshwatch Haven can be found just south of Lion's Arch and is the only haven on a very tiny stretch of the Lion Road heading directly south from the major city. Black Haven is an absolutely stunning location that feels so incredible to be at because of all the beautiful views that you can see around this place. Chargate Haven is an incredible location as the chilly Shiver Peaks blends into the much warmer lands of Ascalon, while Bay Haven, Caledon Haven, and Cratebane Haven within the Caledon Forest, as well as the Arterium Haven within Metrica Province, are incredibly nostalgic locations for me as somebody who is predominantly a Savari player and has spent a ton of time within these two maps of the Maguma Jungle. But truly, each haven is unique in its own ways and features so many beautiful sights, interesting characters, and various services that any adventurer should be interested in checking out. But if a fort feels too limited to you, there are a wide variety of towns located all throughout the world. This is one of the most common types of locations that players can find, which feature so many different things, featuring a wide variety of opportunities to meet interesting NPCs, find interesting map completion objectives, and just explore a wide variety of details. Every player who starts their journey begins in a town related to the race that they have decided to play as, and can then stretch out across the road to find so many different interesting locations. Honestly, the opportunities for discovery are so vast, with so many different locations to find. But if towns are still a bit too small for you, there are many larger cities found throughout Tyria, such as the massive city of Lion's Arch that essentially serves as the capital of Tyria, alongside 5 other major cities that are each connected to the 5 different playable races. These locations are maps in and of themselves and are disconnected from the rest of Tyria, truly serving as some of the most important and safest locations within the entire game. But beyond them are some other locations that are also massive and essentially count as cities, like the stronghold of Ebonhawk located within Ascalon, or the free city of Amnoon located on the coast of the Crystal Desert. But maybe all of this has been a little too much for you and you truly prefer something small. Well, worry not, because throughout the world you can find a variety of camps featuring tents, fires, and various other decorations that may serve as a tiny place of refuge for you to catch your breath, or feature a host of enemies for you to defeat with the potential for treasure located within. But regardless of either, are always a location that may be worth to check out for the experience of adventure. One final related idea are towers. Found within towns, cities, forts, havens, and even completely out on their own, there are a wide variety of towers in Guild 2. Many towers can be found within the mists as a part of World vs. Road that play an important part for those who choose to participate in this battle. But many more can be found throughout the world of Tyria that serve a variety of purposes, be it ruined towers of civilizations past, to interesting locations that feature many of the things we have talked about thus far. But for those who are truly fascinated by things that are interesting but serve little to no purpose, there are many different decorations throughout the world. Lanterns are one of those things that are an incredibly common idea to think of, but aren't really ever anything most players consider. There are many lanterns within Guild Wars 2 that in lore are definitely pretty important, as they serve as a light source in many different instances, but from an aesthetics point of view, they can feature interesting and unique designs that can be intriguing to look at. Similar to lanterns, there are many different light sources throughout the world in many different shapes and forms. One that I like a lot are the braziers of the Flame Legion that you can find in many areas that you would find the Flame Legion, featuring a stone structure that resembles a large hand holding a lit torch. These are just so cool looking and fit perfectly into the environments of which they are located. An idea that some players both think a lot about but don't think about at all are vines. There are many different vines within Guild Wars 2 that serve as bits of decoration throughout the world of Tyria. Anyone who likes plants in general will definitely enjoy the existence of vines because of the atmosphere that they can provide. But many vines in the game do serve a mechanical purpose, such as those created with the Elder Dragon Mordramoth that players fight throughout the Maguma Wastes and Heart of Maguma. And for anyone who really likes vines, you can eventually obtain the back item known as Maudry, which will allow you to have some incredible looking vines with purple glowing magic emanating from them on the back of your character. And one final random detail found throughout the world of Tyria are carts, a type of decoration that rarely serves too much of a purpose in the game, but in the lore are incredibly important. So important in fact that they can be found on loading screen concept art within the game. But if any trader or traveler wants to transport a large quantity of goods from one location to another, a cart is going to be a useful tool for them to incorporate. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. Guild Wars 2 truly is a massive game with so much going on that I think is worthwhile to talk about. Many of the things I talked about aren't important for many players, but they do truly make Guild Wars 2 the unique and fascinating game that it is. I hope you all are taking great care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.